And CNN came along and they were looking for a correspondent in Manila. They offered me a job. I said I'd have to do it with probe. I hated being in front of the camera. In fact, the first time I did a stand-up, my boss sent it back to me and said, "You look 16, get a suit, put makeup on, and do it again." You know, in retrospect, I'm very happy they forced me to go on camera because it gave me confidence. It forced me to be more articulate, to stop hiding behind Cheche, which I did. My development as a person, I couldn't separate it from my development as a journalist. By '88, I was realizing how hard it was to run probe and report for CNN. To be honest, I wasn't doing that great a job for CNN. My boss at that point said, "It's time for you to leave." And at that point I said, "Indonesia?" I said, "Why Indonesia?" He's funny. He said, "Well, I looked at the globe, I spun the globe, and I realized we didn't have anyone there, and it's the country with the world's largest Muslim population." Cheche missed me, but I think she knew it was time for me to move on. I was tired of the Philippines. I mean, I hate to say that, but reporting in the Philippines is so very, very personal. People take offense at the smallest things. And even though you try not to offend them, it's not quite in our culture. They come at you in different ways. The good thing about my situation is my family's not here. So I had no ties that people could come at me and influence stories I was doing, but I was still too close to the society. I cared. I was young and I cared. So it's not until you stop caring, actually, that you can do really good work. So when I went to Indonesia, new country, brave new world, I actually don't think that I learned to report well until after I left the Philippines. You really can't be a good reporter until you've lived through certain experiences. You have to make mistakes, and the best part about it is I made mistakes with Cheche there. Most of that was hidden behind the camera.
Ang buwan sa langit ay mamamatay na, malapit na ang umaga.
When I moved to Jakarta, I got perspective. I loved it, and I could do great stories. And then, my gosh, year after year after year, every form of conflict you can think of, I covered. Separatist violence, political, ethnic, you name it, I lived through it. It was amazing. And that's when you feel each story you do makes you stronger and stronger and stronger. Maria Ressa, CNN, Jakarta. You don't live life until the fabric of your life is threatened. And that's when you realize what's important. That's what Indonesia did for me. I learned so much. I learned not to judge. I learned I had to understand. I learned to tell the best stories. You have to put yourself in their shoes and try not to judge. Hard! You know, at the end of that, it affects you emotionally. And you can pretend it doesn't, but when you see a group of kids playing soccer and you realize that the ball they're using is the head of an old man, it has an impact on you.
Sa marahang pagsikat.
9/11 was huge for me. When I saw the plane crash into the building, it reminded me of something. It was a memory. And I remembered it was a memory from Manila. So even before the second plane crashed, I got off and I called the plant and I said, "Send me to the Philippines tomorrow because I remember this." And I pulled out of my box that night a document, an intelligence document from 1994. This man was probably the first pilot that was recruited by Al-Qaeda, by the group we would later know as Al-Qaeda. His name was Abdul Hakim Murad. He was interrogated by the Philippine police, and in 1994 he told the police that he was recruited, that they had thought about hijacking planes and crashing them into buildings. So for me, that was like, that spurred the next few years of work I was doing, because after 9/11, every bombing, riot, all these little, the MILF, the Abu Sayyaf, somehow they all got tied up into a group we would later identify as Jamaah Islamiyah, which was Al-Qaeda's arm in Southeast Asia.
Top leaders began sending their operatives here more than 15 years ago, setting up terrorist networks and activating their plots. plots, including 9/11. Now we know more than ever about their startling plans and about what the future may hold. I'm Ressa in Manila. Join me on the trail of Al-Qaeda in Southeast Asia.
After I did the daily reporting on the terrorism networks, I did a documentary for CNN, and I wrote a book. After I wrote the book, I felt like I'm done. I don't want to go back to breaking news now. I was old enough to really have had real experience, but young enough to want to do more. Gabby Lopez is the owner of ABS-CBN, and he had asked me to work with them, and he gave me this opportunity that was too good to turn down. This time around, he said, you can do what you want. You know, you have full control of the news. I want you to create a professional news organization. And I said, editorial control is fully ours. He said, yes, it's all yours. At that point, I'd been with CNN almost 20 years. Somehow moving to ABS-CBN seemed like the right thing. I would really commit to the country. ABS-CBN is huge. The impact on our society is immense. And if we can, in our news, highlight the problems that need to be solved, infuse it with the values that need to be there, values of like hope and empowerment, more than anything. Forget hope, empowerment. Pinoys will not say, I'm empowered. Pinoys will say, kayo ho ang bahala. Diba? But it was a risk, and I thought, why not? This is universal. We want to make a difference, and why not do that? It worked.